The sun was setting on Neovita, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. Q wiped the sweat from his forehead and looked at his collection of salvaged parts. It had been a good day. As the only mechanic living this far from the main colony, he had learned to find what he needed in the planet's vast junk fields. Q was not a tall man, but his hands were strong and skilled. 5 years on this frontier planet had taught him to fix almost anything. The colonists thought him strange for living alone in his workshop at the edge of the settled zone, but they needed his skills too much to bother him. One more sight before dark, he muttered to himself, hefting his pack of tools. The old mining equipment area might have the power converter he needed. The path to the abandoned mines was overgrown. Neovita's plants grew fast, with leaves as big as a man's chest. Q cut through them with a small laser tool, moving carefully. The wilderness was not always friendly. A sound stopped him. It was not the normal buzz of insects or call of native birds. It was a low, pained growl. Q froze. His hand moved slowly to the stunner at his belt. There were predators in these woods. The sound came again, weaker this time. It came from behind a fallen tree ahead. Q took a deep breath and stepped forward, stunner ready. What he saw made him forget the weapon in his hand. It looked like a large cat, like the leopards he had seen in Earth's nature programs. But this creature was pure white, with fur that seemed to glow in the fading light. Its eyes were a striking gold color, filled with pain and fear. One of its back legs was bent at a wrong angle, clearly broken. The beautiful creature tried to move away as Q approached, but could only drag itself a short distance before collapsing. "Easy there," Q said softly, though he knew the animal couldn't understand him. "I won't hurt you." The creature stared at him. There was something in those golden eyes that made Q feel strange. It didn't look at him like an animal would. There was understanding there. Q knelt down, still keeping his distance. The white leopard-like creature was thin, probably unable to hunt with its injured leg. Its white coat was dirty and had some dried blood near the broken leg. "You're not from this planet, are you?" Q whispered. Neovita had no native animals this large, and none with fur like this. The creature made a soft sound, almost like a reply. Q had a choice to make. Night was coming. Leaving the creature here meant certain death from predators or starvation. But taking a strange, possibly dangerous alien animal back to his workshop was risky. Those golden eyes watched him, waiting. "I must be crazy," Q said, putting down his pack. He pulled out a tarp he used for carrying parts and laid it flat on the ground. Then he cut some straight branches with his laser tool. The creature watched every move, but didn't try to escape. Working quickly, Q made a simple stretcher. When he approached the injured animal with it, the creature tensed. "I know it hurts," Q said in his calmest voice, "but I can't fix you here." To his surprise, after a moment of tension, the white leopard-like being seemed to relax, as if it had made a decision. Very carefully, Q moved the creature onto the stretcher. It was heavy, but not as heavy as he expected. It made no sound during the move, though the pain must have been great. As the first stars appeared in the sky, Q began the long walk back to his workshop, pulling the stretcher behind him. He had no idea what kind of creature he had found, or why it had appeared on Neovita. But he knew one thing for sure. He was going to try to save it. Q's workshop was a large metal building filled with tools and parts. It took him nearly 2 hours to drag the stretcher back home. By then, his arms ached and his shirt was soaked with sweat. The white creature had stayed still the whole time, watching him with those golden eyes. With gentle movements, Q helped the creature onto a clear workbench. In the bright light of his shop, he could see it better. Its fur was not just white, but had a slight silver shine. The creature was about the size of a large earth leopard, but its face was more shaped, almost like it had human-like expressions. "Let me look at that leg," Q said, moving slowly. The creature watched him, but did not fight when Q carefully touched the area around the break. The leg was badly damaged. Q could feel the broken bone. "This needs more than just rest," he said. "I'm going to clean it first." Q brought warm water and clean cloths. As he washed the dirt and blood from the white fur, he noticed something strange. The creature had thin, almost invisible markings on its skin. They looked like circuits or writing. The creature made a noise when Q touched its leg again, a mix between a growl and a word. "Sorry," Q said. "I know it hurts." He went to his medical cabinet and took out the bone setter he had used on his own broken arm 2 years ago. It wasn't made for animals, but it might help. When he turned back, he froze. The creature was holding one of his wrenches in its paw, looking at it with clear interest. It turned the tool over, examining it as a person would. "You're not just an animal, are you?" Q whispered. The creature looked up and slowly shook its head. Q's heart beat faster. "You understand me?" Again, the creature nodded. Are you an alien? From another planet?" The white beam made a sound that seemed like agreement. Q sat down hard on his stool. "I've never met an alien before." "No one has, not out this far." The creature tried to move and winced in pain. "Right, first things first," Q said, getting back to work. "Let's fix your leg." Over the next few hours, Q carefully set the broken bone. The creature stayed still, though Q could tell it was in pain. When the bone was set, Q had another idea. "Wait here," he said, then laughed at himself. "As if you could go anywhere." Q went to his parts bin and began collecting pieces. He worked quickly, cutting metal, bending wires, and connecting small power cells. By morning, he had made a thin frame that would fit around the creature's leg. "This should help," he explained as he fitted the device. "It's a support frame. It will hold your leg in place and help you move. I used the same idea to fix robot joints." The creature watched with interest as Q attached the frame to its leg. When it was done, Q helped the being stand up. The white leopard-like creature took a careful step. The frame glowed slightly, supporting the weight on the broken leg. The creature looked at Q and made a sound that sounded almost like words. "You're welcome," Q said, smiling for the first time in days. "I'm Q, by the way. Do you have a name?" The creature opened its mouth and made a sound that Q couldn't understand, but it was clearly trying to communicate. "This might take some time," Q said, "but I think we'll figure it out." That night, Q made a bed for his strange guest. As he turned off the lights, he wondered what he had gotten himself into. But watching the peaceful rise and fall of the white creature's chest as it slept, he knew he had made the right choice. A week passed. Q made small changes to the leg frame each day, making it lighter and stronger. The white creature learned to walk with it, moving around the workshop with growing confidence. Q noticed that the being watched him work, paying close attention to how he fixed machines. Sometimes, when Q left a tool nearby, the creature would pick it up and try to use it. One morning, Q woke to find the alien at his workbench. It had taken apart a small broken radio and laid out the pieces in neat rows. "What are you doing?" Q asked, surprised. The creature made sounds that were becoming more like words each day. It pointed to the radio parts and then to a drawing it had made in the dust on the bench. The drawing showed how the parts should fit together. "You're trying to fix it?" Q asked. The creature nodded. Together, they put the radio back together. When they finished, the radio worked better than before. "You're smart," Q said. "Maybe smarter than me." That afternoon, Q began teaching the creature human words. He pointed to objects and said their names. The alien learned quickly. By evening, it could say simple words in a strange but clear voice. "Q," it said, pointing to him. Then it pointed to itself and said, "Jin." "Jin," Q repeated. "That's your name?" "Yes, Jin." Over the next few days, Jin learned more words. Q learned that Jin was from a species called the HFY. They were a race that lived far from human space, watching other species but rarely making contact. "Why were you here alone?" Q asked one night as they sat by his small cooking fire. Jin's words were still simple but getting better each day. "Ship. Study Earth humans. Storm came. I fell. Your ship left without you." Jin shook his head. "Think I dead. Search, but not find." Q nodded. Neovita was a big planet with thick forests and deep valleys. Easy to miss someone, even from space. "Why you white?" Q asked, pointing to Jin's fur. "Is all your kind like you?" Jin seemed sad. "No. I rare. Very rare. White Hashi special. Sent to see humans because special." Q didn't fully understand, but he didn't push. Instead, he adjusted Jin's leg frame again, making it even more comfortable. On the 10th day, trouble came. A large flyer landed near Q's workshop. It was Da, the colony administrator. Da was a thin man with a permanent frown. He didn't like Q living so far from the colony. "Mechanic," Da called, banging on the door. "Open up. We need parts for the water system." Q looked at Jin, who quickly hid in the back room. Then Q opened the door. Da walked in without waiting for an invitation. "We need these parts," he said, handing Q a list. Then he stopped and sniffed the air. "What's that smell?" "It's not human. Just some new oils I'm testing," Q lied. "For the mining machines." Da didn't look convinced. He walked around the workshop, looking at everything. When he came to the backroom door, he paused. "What's in there?" "Just storage. Nothing interesting," Q said, trying to sound calm. Da pushed the door open before Q could stop him. The room was dark, but a pair of golden eyes glowed in the shadows. "What is that?" Da gasped, stepping back. Jin stepped forward into the light. Q saw that Jin stood straighter now, looking almost proud despite the frame on his leg. "It's a friend," Q said simply. Da pointed a shaking finger at Jin. "That's an alien. Do you know what Earth authorities will do if they find out? They'll take over this whole colony. They'll quarantine us all." "He's injured," Q said. "I'm helping him heal. Then he'll go home." Da backed toward the door. "This isn't over, mechanic. Not by a long shot." After Da left, Q looked at Jin with worry. "That's bad. He might tell others." Jin put a paw on Q's shoulder. "I learn fast. Soon walk good. Then go." He paused. "But not forget Q. Never forget." 3 weeks had passed since Q found Jin in the forest. Jin's leg was much better now. The frame Q made let him walk almost normally. Jin's speech had improved too. He could now talk in full sentences, though some words were still hard for him. Q spent less time fixing machines and more time talking with Jin. He learned that the Hashi had been watching humans for over 100 years. They were careful about meeting new species. Too many times they had seen fear turn to violence. "My people believe in watching, learning. Before meeting," Jin explained. "Some races not ready for friends from stars." "And humans?" Q asked. "Are we ready?" Jin looked sad. "Some yes, some no. Leaders afraid of different. That's why we wait." One night, as they shared a meal, Jin's ears perked up suddenly. He turned his head as if listening to something Q couldn't hear. "What is it?" Q asked. "My people," Jin said. "They come." Q felt his heart sink. He knew this day would come, but he wasn't ready. "How soon?" "Tomorrow. They find my signal." Jin touched the leg frame. "This metal. It sends small lights to sky. My people see it finally." Q didn't know the frame would do that. He had used some rare metals he found in the junk fields. It seemed they had special properties he didn't understand. "I will miss you," Q said honestly. Jin put his paw on Q's hand. "I not forget. You saved me when hurt. You not afraid of different. You good human." That night, neither of them slept much. Q worked in his shop, making adjustments to the leg frame one last time. Jin watched the stars through the window. In the morning, Q heard a sound. Not the rough noise of the colony ships, but a soft hum that made the air feel strange. He looked outside and saw nothing, but the air above his workshop seemed to bend and wave. "They hear," Jin said. "Ship hidden. Only I can see." Q nodded. "Then I guess this is goodbye." Jin walked to the door, his movements smooth now. The frame on his leg glowed softly. "Wait," Q said. He held out a small tool he had used to adjust the frame. "Take this. To remember." Jin took the tool carefully. Then he reached into a pouch that Q hadn't noticed before. He pulled out a small round object that glowed with a soft blue light. "For you," Jin said. "HFY talking stone. Sometimes I send words to you." Q took the stone. It felt warm in his hand. Outside, the air rippled more strongly. A door appeared in what looked like empty space. It opened, and Q saw strange lights inside. Jin walked toward the door. At the last moment, he turned back. "Goodbye, Q, my friend." Then he was gone. The door closed, the air rippled once more, and everything was normal again. Q stood alone outside his workshop. He looked at the blue stone in his hand. Later that day, Day arrived with 3 security officers. "Where is it?" Dad demanded. "The alien? Earth Command is sending a science team. They want to study it." Q shrugged. "There's no alien here, just me and my machines." The officers searched the workshop but found nothing. No sign that Jin had ever been there, except for a few white hairs that could have come from anything. Day glared at Q. "You're lying. I saw it." "Maybe you should get your eyes checked," Q suggested. After they left, Q sat alone in his workshop. It felt empty now. He rolled the blue stone between his fingers and wondered if he would ever hear from Jin again. He didn't know then how important their friendship would become, or that in 12 years, the fate of humanity would depend on it. 12 years had passed since Jin left. Q's workshop had grown larger. His skills were known across 3 planets now. People sent him broken machines from faraway places, and he fixed them all. But Q still kept to himself. The people in the colony still thought he was strange. They whispered about the time he had hidden an alien. Some believed the story, others thought it was just a tale. The blue stone Jin had given him sat on a shelf in his workshop. Sometimes it would glow and show star maps, or strange symbols Q couldn't read. Once or twice, he heard Jin's voice from it, saying short things like, "Remember, friend," or "All well." Q was fixing a colony transport engine when the emergency signal sounded across Neovita. All screens turned on by themselves. A serious-looking woman in an Earth Command uniform appeared. "This is Admiral Park with an emergency broadcast to all human colonies and outposts. We are under attack. A fleet of ships from the Vorix Empire has entered our solar system. They demand Earth's surrender. Their weapons are far beyond ours. All colonies must prepare for possible evacuation. This is not a drill." The screen showed images of massive ships near Earth. They were dark and pointed, like knives in space. Earth's defense ships looked tiny next to them. Q watched with growing fear. Everyone had heard of the Vorix. They took over planets and used the people as workers. They had destroyed other alien civilizations that tried to fight them. For days, all news was about the Vorix. They had given Earth 1 month to surrender. After that, they would attack. Earth's leaders were trying to talk with them, but the Vorix didn't want to talk. They only wanted Earth to give up. Q sat in his workshop, fixing things that people brought him, but his mind was far away, thinking about Earth and the danger to all humans. One night, as he was about to sleep, the blue stone on his shelf began to glow brighter than ever before. It floated into the air and spun rapidly. A beam of light shot from it and formed a picture in the middle of the room. It was Jin. He looked older now. The white fur around his face had some gray in it. He stood tall and strong, with no sign of the leg frame. He wore something like clothes, with symbols that probably showed his rank. Q. Jin's voice came from the stone. Hear me. I know about Vorek's threat to your world. My people watch, see danger to humans. Q stood up, hardly believing what he saw. Jin, can you help us? The Vorek ships are too powerful for Earth to fight. Jin's image looked sad. HFY Council say no. Our law is not to fight in other species' wars. Many HFY agree, but I not agree. Some others not agree too. What can we do? Q asked. Earth has 1 month before the Vorek's attack. Jin's image moved closer. I coming to you, Q. The leg frame you made for me. It gave me idea. Big idea. Could save Earth, but need your help. My help? I'm just a mechanic. Jin's image smiled in a way that looked almost human. Not just mechanic. You are first human friend to HFY. You helped me when hurt. Now I help your people, but must be secret. Must meet at your workshop. When? Q asked. 3 days. Be ready. Tell no one. Jin's image began to fade. Trusted friend, soon we meet again. The light disappeared, and the stone dropped back to the shelf. Q stood in the dark room, his heart beating fast. He didn't know how Jin could help against the mighty Vorek's fleet. But for the first time since the news of the attack, he felt something like hope. For 3 days, Q waited. He fixed machines as usual, but his mind was on Jin's message. He wondered how his simple leg frame could possibly help against the Vorek's fleet. On the 3rd night, Q stayed awake in his workshop. The moon was high when he heard a soft humming sound outside. He stepped out and saw the air shimmer, just like 12 years ago. A door appeared in the empty space, and Jin stepped out. Q's heart jumped with joy. Jin looked older but strong and healthy. The leg that had been broken showed no sign of injury. Around his neck hung a metal collar with glowing symbols. Q, Jin said, his voice deeper than before. Good to see you again. Jin, I can't believe you're here. Q wanted to hug his old friend but wasn't sure if HFY did that. Jin solved the problem by stepping forward and placing his forehead against Q's in a gesture of greeting. Much time has passed, but friendship remains. They went inside the workshop. Jin looked around with interest at all the machines and tools. You still fix things, Jin said. Good. We need that skill. Jin, you said my leg frame gave you an idea. How can that help against the Vorek's? Their ships can destroy whole cities. Jin sat down, his golden eyes serious. After I returned home, I became important among my people. Because of my white fur, and because I survived alone on alien world. I told them about you, how you helped me, how you made the frame that fixed my leg. Jin touched his leg, remembering. The way you made frame to support bone but still let it move. It was new idea to HFY. We study it. I study it most. I become scientist, create new things based on your design. But what does that have to do with the Vorek's? Q asked. Jin's eyes glowed brighter. Vorek's weapons are strong. But your frame idea gave me idea for shields. Shields that bend but do not break. That move with attack but stay strong. Jin pulled out a small cube from a pouch at his side. He pressed it, and a 3D image appeared in the air. It showed a model of the leg frame Q had made. Then it changed, growing more complex, wrapping around larger and larger objects. See, your design for one leg became my design for whole ships, whole planets. Jin looked proud. I call it the Q shield. Q stared, amazed. You created this from my simple frame. Yes, but HFY Council will not give it to humans. They say it against our law of non-interference. Jin's face showed frustration. I argue for many days. Some agree with me, like Sue and Han, important scientists. But most say no. So what can we do? Q asked. Jin stood tall. We disobey. I bring small group of HFY who agree with me. Our ship is hidden in asteroid belt, We bring shield technology, but need your help to make it work for human systems. My help? I'm just one mechanic. Earth has thousands of better engineers. Jin shook his head. No, you understand both human machines and my thinking. You bridge between our peoples. And, Jin paused, looking almost shy, you are my friend. I trust you. Q felt the weight of Jin's words. This wasn't just about fixing a broken leg anymore. This was about saving his entire species. When do we start? Q asked. Jin's mouth curved in what Q now recognized as a smile. Now, pack what you need. My ship waits. Where are we going? To meet HFY Council members who support humans. Then to Earth. Jin put a paw on Q's shoulder. Together, we will save your people. Q looked around his workshop. Everything he knew was here, but Earth needed him now. And his friend had come back, just as he promised. Let me get my tools, Q said. Q had never been in space before. Jin's ship moved faster than any human ship. The stars blurred outside the windows. In just 2 days, they'd reached the asteroid belt near Earth. Hidden among the large rocks was a massive HFY ship. It was white and curved, like a giant seashell. Jin's smaller ship docked inside it. Welcome to the Star Whisper, Jin said as they walked through bright hallways. Our science vessel. Q stared at everything. The walls glowed softly. HFY crew members nodded respectfully to Jin as they passed. They looked at Q with curious golden eyes. Jin led Q to a large round room. 3 HFY sat at a curved table. They wore collars with more symbols than Jin's, showing their higher rank. Council members Su, Han, and Nari, Jin said. They support helping humans. Su was older, with gray fur around her face. Han was large and strong-looking. Nari was smaller, with quick, bright eyes. All 3 studied Q carefully. So this is the human who saved you, Su said. Her voice was soft but clear, and whose design inspired your shields. Jin nodded. Q, these 3 believe as I do. That helping humans is right. Han leaned forward. Not all agree. Some say humans are dangerous, that they fight too much among themselves, that if we give them advanced technology, they will use it to harm others. Q felt uncomfortable under their stares. I'm just a mechanic. I can't speak for all humans. But you can speak for yourself, Neri said. Jin trusts you. Why should we? Q thought about it. I don't know if humans are ready for advanced alien technology. We do fight wars. We make mistakes. But we also try to be better. We learn. We fix things when they break. He looked at Jin. We help others when they need it, even if they're different from us. Su and Han exchanged looks. Nari tilted her head, thinking. Jin stepped forward. Show him the Vorex message. Su pressed a button on the table. A screen appeared in the air. A harsh voice spoke as images of Vorex ships firing on planets appeared. We are Vorex. We bring order to chaos. Weak species serve the strong. This is the law of the universe. Humans are weak. They will serve or die. The message ended. The room was quiet. The Vorex have taken 12 worlds in the last 50 years, Jin said. No species has stopped them. Until now, Han added. Jin's shield design could change everything. Su looked at Q. Will you help us adapt this technology to protect your people? Yes, Q said without hesitation. But I'll need to understand how it works. Jin smiled. I will show you. They went to a large laboratory. In the center was a model of Earth with tiny ships around it. Jin activated a control panel, and the model began to glow with a thin blue light. The Q shield, Jin explained. It works like the frame I made for your leg. It bends with force but does not break. It uses the attacker's energy against them. For hours, Jin showed Q how the shield technology worked. Q asked questions, suggested changes, and drew diagrams to help human engineers understand. As they worked, More Hashi came to watch. Some seemed impressed by Q's questions and ideas. "You understand quickly," Jin said with pride. "I fix things." Q said simply, "That's what I do." By the end of the day, they had a plan. They would take the shield designs to Earth's leaders. With Q's help, human engineers could adapt the technology to protect their planet. That night, as Q looked at Earth from the ship's window, he thought about how strange life was. 12 years ago, he had helped a hurt alien in the forest. Now that same alien was helping to save all of humanity. "We might still have a chance," he whispered to himself. Earth's leaders were shocked when a Hashi ship appeared over their main city. They were even more surprised when Q, a simple mechanic from a distant colony, stepped out with Jin and the 3 Hashi council members. At first, there was fear. Soldiers pointed weapons at the aliens. But Q stood between them and explained why the Hashi had come. "They bring technology to save us from the Vorx," he told Admiral Park. "I know these aliens. This one." He pointed to Jin. "I saved his life 12 years ago. Now he wants to save all of us." It took hours of talking, but finally Earth's leaders agreed to listen. Jin showed them the shield design, and Q explained how it could work with Earth's systems. "We have only 2 weeks before the Vorx attack," Admiral Park said. "Can we build these shields in time?" Jin stepped forward. "With help from my people, yes. Some Hashi ships already bring materials. Others prepare to fight at your side." "You would fight for us?" the Admiral asked, surprised. "For Q's people, yes," Jin said. "He fixed my leg when I was hurt and alone. His kindness showed me humans are worth saving." Work began immediately. Human engineers worked day and night alongside Hashi experts. Q moved between them, helping both sides understand each other. His years of fixing broken machines made him perfect for this job. Shield generators were built and placed around Earth's major cities. Smaller versions were installed on Earth's defense ships. Everything was based on Q's original leg frame design, but made stronger and larger. The day before the Vorx deadline, Earth was ready. The shields were in place but untested against real Vorx weapons. "Will they work?" Q asked Jin as they stood on the roof of Earth Command, looking at the sky. "They will bend but not break," Jin said. "Like your spirit, my friend." The Vorx arrived the next day. Their ships were massive and dark, blocking the sun as they moved toward Earth. Their leader's voice boomed from every communication device. "Humans, your time to surrender has ended. Now you will serve the Vorx or be destroyed." Admiral Park stood tall as she responded. "Earth does not surrender. We stand with our allies." The Vorx ships fired their weapons. Huge red beams shot toward Earth's cities. People watched in fear, wondering if this was the end. But when the beams hit the shields, something amazing happened. The shields glowed blue and bent inward, absorbing the energy. Then they pushed back, sending the energy back toward the Vorx ships. Several Vorx ships were damaged by their own weapons. The others paused, confused. That's when the Hashi fleet appeared, led by Jin's ship. They fired their own weapons at the Vorx, weapons that could pass through the shields to hit the enemy. The battle lasted for hours. Earth's ships fought alongside the Hashi, protected by the new shields. The Vorx tried again and again to break through, but the shields held. Finally, the remaining Vorx ships turned and fled. Earth had won. Humans cheered in the streets. For the first time in history, the Vorx had been defeated. In Earth Command, Admiral Park shook Jin's paw, then Q's hand. "You have saved our world," she said. "How can we thank you?" Jin looked at Q. "By remembering that friendship can begin in strange ways. I was just an injured alien, and Q was just a mechanic. But together, we changed the future for both our peoples." Later, as Earth celebrated, Jin and Q stood looking at the stars. "What happens now?" Q asked. "Now our peoples become true allies," Jin said. "The Hashi Council has agreed to open relations with humans. They ask me to be the first ambassador. And you, Q, to work with me. Q smiled. From fixing a broken leg to saving a planet. All because I stopped to help a strange white leopard in the forest. Jin put his paw on Q's shoulder. Sometimes the greatest journeys begin with the smallest acts of kindness.